Hi folks, Dom Lawson here from Metal Hammer Magazine with another ironed sandwich. Do you know what annoys me? People of the internet. Lots of things annoy me. People who walk too slowly in crowded shopping areas, they annoy me. Kids with those stupid giant flesh tunnels in their ears. The fuck is that? You look like a twat, sorry. And Chad Kroger's face. That's just three of the things that annoy me. Um, Something that really winds me up, and I know it shouldn't because it's incredibly petty, is bands who have websites where the website address is the name of the band plus the word rocks. You know, so and so rocks.com. Look, I'll be the judge of whether you fucking rock or not. Don't be telling me in advance. It makes me strongly suspect that you probably don't rock, or that you have a kind of slightly distorted idea of what rocking actually is. It's not throwing your guitar around and pulling faces when you're playing. That is obviously a part of it, but that isn't in itself enough to establish your rocking status. Fuck knows. It's the problem with making these things up as I go along is that most of it is bollocks, but that does annoy me. That really pisses me off. And and one band that are guilty of that is the band that I'm going to review today, and it's an album that's coming out on Roadrunner very shortly, and they're called Halestorm. Now that in itself is confusing because obviously there's a band called Halestorm. Look, I'll hold this up. Look, see, look, it's the new album by Halestorm. Oh no, it's not. Halestorm are from the United States of America and have nothing to do with the Scottish and Northern Irish pirate metal troupe with whom I got extraordinarily drunk fairly recently. Actually, I didn't get drunk with them, we just drank. They were extraordinarily drunk. Yeah. Good lads, though, to be fair. But anyway, Halestorm are an entirely different thing, not to be confused with a pirate metal band. And they had an album out a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, on Atlantic Records, which completely passed me by, and I think it's fairly obvious why it passed me by. Although that's not to say that I'm about to rip into them really badly, because I'm not. But well, maybe a bit. But anyway, the new album is called The Strange Case Of, and they are I guess they are a mainstream rock band is probably the fairest way to describe them, with a slight metal edge. I think if we were to call them a metal band, I think would be a lie. So I'm not going to do that. But there are certainly elements of metal in their sound. I think is it the drummer and the singer are brother and sister? I don't know, but anyway, the singer, whose name I'll have to look up, she is called something or other. Hang on a minute. I presume her surname is Hale, otherwise the name of the band makes absolutely no bloody sense whatsoever. Yes, Lizzie Hale, although it's spelled L-Z-Z-Y, so it's really Ulzie Hale. And I think he's the drummer, is he? RJ, that's not a real name. RJ, it's probably Robert John or something. Anyway, and their two mates, they are Halestorm, and they are from Red Lion in Pennsylvania. Now, this album is a mainstream rock album, okay? The production on it is massive. It's a difficult one. I'll tell you what's good about it first. What's good about it is that these are really, really catchy songs. They're big, radio-friendly, sing-along, and then they are ballsy, rock songs that have the potential. I mean, this band have the potential to be absolutely massive because, for one, Ulzie is very attractive and has a great voice, and the band they kind of tick all the boxes in terms of what's going to get played on American radio and whatever the equivalent of MTV is these days, because MTV always seems to have really shit reality TV shows when I'm unfortunate enough to catch 3 seconds of it. But there you go. What do people? Is it VH1? Do people watch that anymore? I don't know. Don't watch music telly apart from Scars, obviously. Terry. Yeah, so I don't know. Catchy, it's undeniably catchy, and there are some good riffs on this album. There's a song called "Freak Like Me" that has a very kind of a metally riff on it, really, and another track called "Ms. Hyde," which also has a really quite powerful riff. It's in a way it reminds me of the last kind of decade or two of Alice Cooper's stuff. It's got that kind of very catchy sing along melodies with occasionally clever lyrics, not particularly clever lyrics, but kind of well thought out lyrics that kind of stick in the memory. Not that I can remember any of them now, so that's obviously not true. Don't know why I said it. But I mean, that's what's good about it. Okay, so it has a huge potential to be huge. I mean, it's that kind of album. It's got incredibly catchy songs in it. And I suppose they have some connection with Shinedown. I think she sang. They did a Shinedown cover, or she sang on a Shinedown or something. Anyway, but I've got to be honest. I have a real issue with that whole area of music. Now, bands like Shinedown and Nickelback and that kind of post-grunge arena rock kind of thing, I just find it also excruciatingly dull, with the exception of Alter Bridge, who I really like, but they've got a secret weapon in that their singer is amazing. But just, that kind of music, it's rock music for people who don't really like rock music, it's kind of pop music with loud guitars, in the same way that pop punk is, and that's most pop punk, not all, and it's kind of, it's bland, and that I think is my issue with Halestorm, is that actually there's a lot of attitude on display on these songs. That there's a song called "Freak Like Me" because she's a freak. Do you see? There's another one called "You Call Me a Bitch Like It's a Bad Thing," like a bad thing, and there's another one called "Love Bites." So do I. So it's all kind of I'm a tough cookie, me, and there's a song that makes a reference to American boys headbanging to Metallica in the back of a Camaro and all this kind of stuff, so it's all kind of noddy winky, look, we like metal, we're part of the rock and roll scene, and therein lies the problem, because this album actually sounds like a rock or metal album that was written and conceived by a committee at Disney. My daughter, who is 8 years old, watches a lot of comedy shows on the Disney Channel, and they are all so skull-crushingly bland and unfunny, it defies belief. It's all on the same level of kind of trying to give the impression that it's a bit kooky and weird and edgy, but actually it's utterly sanitized and has no hint that the world might be anything other than a lovely fluffy place where everybody's middle class and has lots of cash and lovely clothes and perfect skin, and that's the world that this album kind of exists in. Unfortunately, it's got no dirt under its fingernails whatsoever. And there's a moment in the last song called "Here's to Us," which is a kind of sing-along, scarf-waving ballad where the band are kind of saying, "Here's to us, the rock and roll people, not those squares, not those with your suit and your tie and your money-grabbing ways. No, here's to us." And she swears in it. She says, "Tell them to go fuck themselves" or something at one point. And it sounds like my mum swearing. I imagine she probably apologised to Jesus after she recorded it. I don't know. Maybe they're drug-taking maniacs, these people. I don't know. It's just that they don't give that impression. It's kind of Miley Cyrus metal, It's kind of, it's bland, and it's kind of, there's something about that offends me, really, because essentially they're good songs. There's very little musically that you can pick holes in, except the fact that it's all very obvious and kind of commercial rock. It's not it's not the Dillinger Escape Plan, and it's not meant to be. And there's always a good there's always a market for catchy big rock songs. Bands like Bon Jovi and Nickelback and stuff sell millions, and there's a reason for that, because they people with no imagination can immediately relate to that kind of song. And obviously most people have no imagination, but it's just something about it I just think is a bit dishonest. There's the rocky tracks like Love Bites and Freak Like Me, and then in the middle it kind of descends into this mush of syrupy ballads. There's a song called "In Your Room," which is all kind of, it's just a soppy love song, and another one called "Breakin'," which is a ballad as well. And actually, if you take the heavy guitars off this, you might as well be listening to fucking Katy Perry or Miley Cyrus, or I don't know, any number of ghastly American hags that sing dreadful sanitized pop music with no balls, and I don't know, it's a pity that if they took all the ballads off it and tried a little less hard to kind of convince everybody that they were edgy, I think I'd probably like it a bit more. It is that kind of thing. It reminds me again of that Nickelback thing with the DFS advert, when there's the woman dancing with a thumbs in her belt like she's, you know, like, oh, I'm slightly awkward, but look, I still know how to rock even though I'm 41. You know, it's like, no, love, it's not about that. You know, if you have to keep pointing out to everybody that you're rocking out, then you're not really rocking out. You know, and I don't know. I just kind of, I know I'm a miserable bastard. That's obvious, but it's just kind of, there's just something a little bit kind of disingenuous about the whole thing that kind of bugs me. And yet at the same time, I think if you know, in isolation, two or three of these songs are really good and really catchy, but to me, there's not a great deal of difference between what this band are doing and what Paramore are doing. Really, you know, it's in that kind of area, and it's aimed at people who like rock music, you know, rather than people who actually live and breathe rock or metal or anything. You know, people who listen to it because if they didn't, they'd be running around stabbing people, or, you know, or out of their minds on skag. You know, I mean, it's people who kind of like, you know, rock music as a kind of cool accessory, you know, rather than a life or death matter, you know, which it is for a lot of us. You know, it's the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning and stops us from throwing ourselves in front of a train. You know, and I don't get that sense that that's the case with this lot. It's all very polite in the photos. They're all very, you know, they've obviously had a stylist at them, you know, and it's all very kind of professional. And Disney, you know, it's got a real stench of Disney about it. But if that's your thing, you know, if you like all the stuff that I've been being terribly rude about, then maybe you'll like this. I don't know. I can't decide whether. I mean, there are things about it that I like, but I can't imagine I'm ever going to sit and listen to the whole album all the way through again. I managed it twice without crying, so that's a good sign. But I think, you know, Lulzy, which is what I should be calling her forevermore now, you know, is trying a little bit too hard, really. Methinks the lady doth protest too much about, you know, you call me a bitch like it's a bad thing. Well, no one called you a bitch, love. You know, who called you a bitch? I think it's very unlikely anyone's going to call you a bitch, really. You're in a potentially very successful rock band. I suspect everybody will be kissing your ass, really, or blowing smoke up it. Assuming that, you know, she's available for that kind of activity. So there you go. Halestorm, The Strange Case of. It's out on Roadrunner soon. It's, you know, I don't know. If you like this kind of thing, you'll like this. there's a bit of incisive journalism for you. Yeah, interesting record in the sense that I simultaneously like it and dislike it intensely. So there you go. What was the song that I really liked? Can't remember. There's one that it doesn't matter. You're not going to listen to it. I mean, if you trust my opinion, you're not going to listen to it. And if you don't trust my opinion, you will have switched off ages ago. So you know, they'll be huge. Nothing I say makes any difference whatsoever. And if they're watching this, sorry, but I find your record a bit annoying. But you know, good luck and everything. Don't be a stranger. Thanks, folks. That was me being moderate. Well, you know, it wasn't like Lulu, was it? I was nicer about it than I was about that. But anyway, it's Halestorm, Strange Case of, out on Roadrunner Records. There you go. That's the end of any chance I had of getting free beer off them when they play in the UK. Yeah, thanks. Another one of these soon, and take it easy. Cheers. Thumbs up.